Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. Now, today's case is, well, it's just a complete mystery. There is very little information publicly available, and despite the bizarre circumstances surrounding Steve Milligan's death, his case has received almost no media attention over the years. I think that's largely because there simply isn't much evidence that has ever been released to the public. It's incredibly sad what happened to Stephen, and more than 2 decades later, there are still no answers. Today's video is part of my Missing in Minutes series, but this case is just a little bit different. Stephen isn't a missing person. His body has been found. However, what happened to him has never been explained, making this one of Australia's most puzzling unsolved cold cases. So let's get into it. Steve Milligan was around 20 years old and lived with his family in Oxford on Queensland's northern Gold Coast. Those who knew him described him as fit, active, and well-liked. He had reached an elite level in snowboarding, a sport he loved so much that he ended up traveling to Canada to pursue it, something few Australians had the opportunity to do at the time. In fact, Stephen had only recently returned home from Canada, where he'd spent time snowboarding and immersing himself in this sport he was so passionate about. Friends and family said he was excited about the future, and there was nothing to suggest anything was seriously wrong in his life. Investigators would later find no evidence that Stephen had planned to disappear or that he had taken his own life. Detective Senior Sergeant Mark Proctor later said Stephen had a lot to live for, and those who knew him had nothing but positive things to say about him. For everyone close to Stephen, what happened next was completely out of character. On the 18th of April 2000, Stephen left his family home in Oxford, telling his family he was going for a walk. There was nothing to suggest it would be the last time they would ever see him alive. Police have never publicly revealed exactly where Stephen was planning to go, what time he left, or whether he was intending to meet anyone. They've also never disclosed what he took with him when he left. Like, did he take his wallet, his keys, anything at all? Those details have never publicly been made. As the hours passed after Stephen left and he hadn't come home, his family's concern quickly turned into fear. He was reported missing, and his mother launched a relentless campaign to find him, making public appeals and pleading for anyone with information to come forward. For the next 3 weeks, Stephen's disappearance remained a complete mystery. No one saw him. There was no meaningful leads. No one knew where he was or what had happened to him. Then in May 2000, the search came to a devastating end. Stephen's badly decomposed body was discovered in bushland near a water tower less than 1 kilometer from his family home. The discovery immediately raised more questions than answers. Stephen was found completely naked except for 1 shoe and 1 sock. Nearby, police located his shorts and the matching shoe, both showing signs of partial burning. Despite the advanced decomposition, forensic testing allowed investigators to rule out several possibilities. Suicide was excluded. Natural causes, including a snake bite and a lightning strike, both considered because of the bushland-like location, were also ruled out. However, because of the conditions of the remains, the coroner was unable to determine an official cause of death. What investigators did know was that the circumstances surrounding Stephen's death were highly unusual. The location of his body, his missing clothing, and the discovery of burnt items nearby raised serious questions about what had happened in the days before he was found. Police believed the scene may have involved deliberate actions, and the case was treated as a suspected homicide. Detectives launched a major investigation known as Operation Fame. In the years that followed, investigators interviewed hundreds of people and followed leads across Australia, but nothing came of it from what I could find publicly available. So despite any extensive investigations, no suspects have ever been identified, no one has ever been charged, and Steven's family was left without an answer as to why a young man with so much ahead of him was killed. What makes this case so haunting is how many basic questions remain unanswered even today. Police have never publicly revealed exactly what time Steven left his home that day or where he intended to go. It's unknown whether the walk into the nearby bushland was something Steven regularly did or whether this was completely out of character. Was he meeting someone? Did he take his wallet or his house keys? And if he did, were those items ever recovered? Then there is the location where Steven was found. The water tower area was reportedly a place where local teenagers sometimes gathered, a familiar spot within the community. Was this really where Steven had died, or was his body moved to this area afterwards? Police have never publicly confirmed what actually happened. Then there are the unanswered questions surrounding his clothing. Why was Steven found naked except for one shoe and one sock? Why were his shorts and the other shoe found nearby with signs of burning? Was there an innocent explanation, or did these details point to someone attempting to alter the scene or hide evidence? And why was one shoe left on his body while the other was found separately? These questions have never been publicly answered, and in an investigation where there is no clear cause of death, every detail matters. In 2014, more than a decade after Steven's death, Detective Senior Sergeant Mark Proctor told the Courier Mail that the case remained one of the most baffling he had ever worked on. A healthy, athletic 20-year-old was found dead less than 1 kilometer from his own home, and somehow no one saw or heard anything. More than 26 years after Steven Wayne Milligan walked out of his family home, his death remains an unsolved murder. Queensland police have never publicly identified a suspect, and no motive has ever been established. For Steven's family, the questions that began in April 2000 still remain unanswered. Somewhere there may be someone who knows what happened to Steven that day. If you have any information about Steven Wayne Milligan's death, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, you are urged to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. One detail, one memory, or even one piece of small information could be the missing link that finally helps bring answers to Steven's family after more than 2 decades of waiting. And that is the heartbreaking mystery of Steven Milligan. A young man with a passion for snowboarding, a family who loved him, and a future ahead of him, on under circumstances that more than 2 decades later still remain unanswered. Cases like Steven's are a reminder that behind every investigation is a person, a family, and a lifetime of memories left behind. If you have found this case interesting, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel for more Australian true crime cases, missing persons, and unsolved mysteries. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.